Good morning and welcome to the live stream of the 2017 Over the Edge event to benefit Special Olympics Delaware. The 7th annual event, sponsored by TD Bank, Brandywine Realty Trust, and Newcastle County Fire Service, is taking place at the 300 Delaware Avenue building in Wilmington, Delaware. Supporting sponsors include the Delaware Law Enforcement for Special Olympics, Sheraton Suites, Wilmington Downtown, Delmarva Broadcasting Company, and the Delaware Rock Gym. Participants each raised $1,100 for the opportunity to rappel 17 stories, or 222 feet, down the side of one of Wilmington's tallest buildings. I'm John Busby, along with Jimmy Smith, who heads up today's video production team. We've got 3 cameras, one on the roof, one out front looking up, and one at the landing area where you'll be able to see the reaction of the rappellers. Some of them rappelling for the first time. We have 3 individuals rappelling for the 7th time in 7 years, and we'll talk a little bit more about them as they come up. This is Vincent Bowers, who you are looking at, getting ready to come down over the edge. He was one of the ones who, late addition, and so we don't have any bio information on him, unfortunately, but it'll give us an opportunity to tell you a little bit more about the event as he makes his way down. As I mentioned, it is the 7th annual event. It benefits Special Olympics Delaware, 4,200 athletes who compete in 19 sports year-round, all part of Special Olympics Delaware. Unified Partners, a big part of Special Olympics as well. They are peers without disabilities who compete on the same teams with our Special Olympics athletes in a variety of sports, bowling, basketball, volleyball, some of the more popular ones here in Delaware who participate in Special Olympics. So we've got about a 7-hour broadcast for you. Jimmy and I will be on the air the entire time. We're do a combination of talking about the folks who are rappelling, but at the same time letting you enjoy watching the people who you have tuned in to see come down the side of the building. A couple names of the folks who are going to be coming up here will be Kylie, Lavelle, Ruth Lavelle, Anthony Gough, and Marie McIntosh, who will all be coming down here very shortly. So settle in for those of you who plan to watch the entire broadcast, and depending on where you're watching from, obviously as an internet broadcast, this is something that could be watched overseas right now or sometime during the day, but we do appreciate you tuning in, whoever you are tuning in to watch, or if you are just tuning in to see what this event is all about. Exactly, but he has a lever that is controlling his speed, and he pulls out on it gently, which allows him to lower at his own speed. If he goes too quickly, that it will lock up. So they do control, the technicians do control how fast they allow a repeller to come down, regardless of the experience. So it's not a situation where you can say, hey, don't lock me up, I want to fly down, I've done this before. They are in complete control. 100% safety rating by these folks, which is one of the fascinating facts about it. They've actually done 209 events around North America just for Special Olympics, raising more than $20 million here in Delaware. We will eclipse the $800,000 mark before it's all said and done here. 87 entries going over between today and yesterday, which was Media Day. We'll talk a little bit more about that as the broadcast goes on. So you can see Vincent heading down. He's getting ready to go over that final lip where you do a final push-out. And it's right about there where the crowd will start cheering and shouting out to him because they are in a position where he can hear that. And you can see there he's kind of stopped and gets himself resituated. That's the second floor of the building. And so he'll readjust himself and the volunteers at the bottom. And we want to give a shout out to the volunteers who are here. There are 3 techs from Over the Edge who are here. They come in from around the country, do an incredible job. All the feedback we get is how comfortable they make people feel, and you can hear a little bit of the applause there as Vincent makes his way down. That's the setup TD Bank has there. You see in the background where they'll be and see this incredible event as more than 87 people will have rappelled the 17 stories by the time we wrap up sometime after 4 o'clock today. It's a little chilly this morning outside, but it's supposed to get warmer. The sun's supposed to come out, and so it should be a nice day for rappelling. There's no rain in the forecast last I looked, and so it's going to be a what we call almost a perfect day for the rappel. Not too hot, not too cold. There might be a little bit of breeze, but nothing that's going to affect the people coming down there. So once again, I'm John Busby, along with Jimmy Smith, who has been the lead of the broadcast team for this live stream for the past 4 years. And Jimmy, I'm not sure if you're ready to jump on yet, but welcome. We're glad to have you on board here. And as I tell a lot of people that you are the key to this live stream and the crew that you bring in. I just talk for 8 hours along with you, but everything that you're watching is a result of Jimmy and his production team having arrived yesterday and put this whole thing together with the assistance of ShowWorks for providing a lot of the equipment. And so, Jimmy, welcome back. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me. Just trying to get settled in here. A couple of early morning technical issues that we're working our way through. But I think we're good, and we're on the air. And, again, thanks for having me, and we're ready to go for the next bunch of hours.
And, Jimmy, talk to the people listening here as we've got a little lull in activity of the next two, the Lavelles, the mother-son combination of Kylie and Ruth get settled up on the roof. Give us a sense of the different camera angles that people are going to see and, you know, what your strategy is here to make sure that people watching, you know, the difference between what we do and what I've seen on other broadcasts for a lot of events that are live stream is not only do we provide the audio for it, but we provide different camera shots. A lot of times you watch something like this, and if you have somebody coming down on the roof, it would be a still camera at the bottom, similar to what people are seeing right now, and you would just see the back of the person coming down.
Yeah.
But you have several more cameras in what we call key positions.
Yeah, the goal there is to have emotion, you know, show emotion when they're at the top, show emotion when they're at the bottom. And so, yeah, it's a little more of a technical thing. I mean, we're having some issues there with the camera right there, just to be blunt. But yeah, no, it's all about showing the cool angles like this and the emotion right now when they're worried, and then the emotion when they are excited when they hit the bottom.
And so Ruth Lavelle is going to be coming down on the yellow rope, and Kylie Lavelle, her daughter, is going to be coming down on the blue rope. And so you can see her getting settled in. Ruth is a veteran rappeller. She has done it before, didn't put on her bio how many times, but I want to say it's been at least 3, 4, maybe 5 times that she has done that. Her husband, Greg, has also done it. Kylie, their daughter, is doing it for the first time. Kylie is a freshman at the University of Delaware. And Kylie's brother, obviously Ruth and Greg's son, Matthew Lavelle, is an athlete in Special Olympics. And he participates in soccer, basketball, swimming, and track and field for the Wilmington Wizards. The Wilmington Wizards are one of 5 area teams Special Olympics has, the other being the Kent Crusaders, the MOT Tigers, the Sussex Riptide, and the Newark Dragons. So if you're tuned into this broadcast and you have a friend, a relative who you think would want to be part of Special Olympics Delaware, go to our website, sode.org, and you can certainly get more information about Special Olympics. So Kylie and Ruth Lavelle getting ready to head down the building. They're getting harnessed in on the tripod there. That is Ruth to the right, as I mentioned, a veteran edger. You can see she's taking that first step or those first few steps with a lot of confidence. And we're told by several people, and I can tell you from my experience going over the edge, that is the really the breathtaking part of the moment is when you get set to take that first step back, and you realize at that point you're at the point of no return, and you are in the complete control of the folks that are belaying you, that are upstairs on the roof, hooked in, and also down at the bottom controlling the rope. So it is a event. It's a thrilling event, and it is an opportunity for people to, for a lot of cases, check off the bucket list for you. To say, and it's an opportunity for people to have the thrill of a lifetime that they're not going to get anywhere in the state of Delaware, because Delaware Special Olympics does own the rights to this over-the-edge event, and so anybody who is willing and interested in doing this must do it on what is the second Thursday of every May. Next year's event's on May 10th, and if you want to register for next year's event, you can do that at sode.org. You can see Kylie has taken that first drop back, or that first seat back. We don't like to use the term drop any time during this event, but you can see she's in the very capable hands of the Over the Edge technicians, who I mentioned there are 3 of them from Over the Edge USA.
And like we say every single year, look at how much stuff is up there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's overwhelming when you first start, when you walk up there.
Yeah, it is. It's
when
overwhelming
you
to be
down,
on the roof to begin with.
You start to kind of calculate what's all in your favor.
Right.
You got a lot going on up there.
They every repeller has a radio hooked up to them on their shoulder in case they need to communicate with the people up top or down at the bottom. And I'll reiterate that, every edger we bring in, and we hope to have Kylie and Ruth come in afterward, as well as all the other edgers, to talk about this event. You can see the practice rappel going on there. That is the new thing I was talking about, where they get that sense. In previous years, you would actually climb a ladder up to the roof of a building and do a rappel. And what they've done, because they found that it is just as effective and just as safe and gives the edgers the same experience of what it's going to be like, is they've made it so you don't need to climb up to the top of that building, but instead they rig you up there. You go up on a step ladder and you actually step off the step ladder, similar to what you would do off the 17-story building. And so they have an opportunity to do that before they go. So you saw the people that are on deck up there. If you're just tuning in, again, this is the broadcast for the 2017 Over the Edge event to benefit Special Olympics Delaware. Kylie and Ruth Lavelle are on their way down. Up next is Anthony Gough and Marie McIntosh. I saw the two of them up on the roof, so they will be harnessed up. Actually, they're already harnessed up. They will be put in the what we call the tripod, the setup up there, which will get them back down there. Kylie Lavelle wanted to thank her mom and dad because this is their birthday present for her. And so it's an opportunity for her to give back to the community. What a wonderful birthday gift for Kylie. Again, it is every one of these edgers has raised at least $1,100 to be part of this event. Several of them reached an incentive of $1,500. We will mention those folks as they do that. And actually, Anthony Gough and Marie McIntosh, who are coming up next, have both reached that incentive. Kylie, her inspiration is her brother and the fact that she's finally old enough to go over. There is an age limit. You must be an official adult, which is 18 years old all over the country. And so you have to be 18 to be part of this. And so Kylie is happy to finally be able to go over the edge. Don't forget, if you're tweeting or if you are sending out pictures on Instagram for whatever reason, or you want to send a message to the folks that are doing this, we'll try to get it on the broadcast. Please use hashtag OverTheEdgeDE, and we will follow that on our Twitter account and be able to give that person a shout out. Ruth Lavelle, we asked her if she's done anything daring like this, and she said no, but she actually said this was far more sensible than jumping in the ocean for the polar bear plunge, which is, of course, is Delaware Special Olympics' other big fundraiser. And so if you have an opportunity to sign up for that, or you have any interest in that, it is plungede.org is the website to go to for that. So another one of our Special Olympics Delaware's largest fundraisers for that. So Greg, Ruth, and Ruth's husband, Kylie's father, and Matthew, the Special Olympics athlete, and their family are down at the bottom waiting for sister and mother and wife to arrive at the bottom. I believe that they were going to have Greg and Matt assist with holding the rope at the bottom along with the over-the-edge technician. So you can see they're about 5 or 6 stories in on their way down. Anthony Gough and Marie McIntosh are up next. Lori Ableman and Jennifer Lecomte will be following them close behind if you are just tuning in. So once again, this is the live stream for the 2017 Special Olympics Delaware Over the Edge event to benefit Special Olympics Delaware. Lots of going on here at the 300 Delaware Avenue building today. Stop on by. TD Bank is hosting a reception out front, more like a festival atmosphere with food and refreshments. There are bleachers for you to sit in. There's parking garages nearby, also meters on the street if you just want to pop in and see somebody go down. Please feel free to stop by. There is a Special Olympics tent out front that is very visible if you want more information on how to become involved in Special Olympics as an athlete, unified partner, coach, or volunteer. You can also visit our website at SODE.org. So we have 3 camera angles for you. You're looking at the one of the 2 repellers coming down the building. We have one up on the roof that you will see the expressions on the faces as they are getting prepared to take that first step off the side of the building. And then we also have a camera angle on the floor, or the landing area, I should say, of where they will come down, and you will get to see the expressions of relief, probably as much as any, but also exhilaration as they make that landing. Yesterday we had 8 people go down on Media Day, and also a representative from the Special Olympics Delaware staff, Mark Wise. Each year, one representative from Special Olympics does the Over the Edge event, and it was Mark Wise, the Director of Training for Special Olympics, who had the opportunity to do that. Mark is a triathlete, and so he had never done anything like this before. He had done a little bit of rock climbing, he told me yesterday in a conversation, but nothing of this magnitude, I should say. But he made it successfully and came down without any problems. Joining him yesterday were Brittany Horn from the News Journal, Ben Heck from the Sussex County Post, both writers, and then radio personalities, Matt Monks and Rob Petrie from 105.9 FM, Jazz Williams-Wood from Eagle 97.7, Shelby Vaccaro from 1150 WDEL, and Brian Sosha from WSTW 93.7 came down as Spider-Man. And he also addressed the crowd last night at the cocktail reception hosted by TD Bank and talked about his experience going over the edge. And David Hill, one of the powerlifters for Special Olympics Delaware, talked about his experience in Special Olympics and what a difference he made. So that was all part of the cocktail reception sponsored by TD Bank. So really, it's a lot of people look at this as a one-day event, but the reality of it is a two-day event. The Over the Edge people got everything set up yesterday morning. This building was equipped with special structures on the roof to support this event, and it was the Brandywine Realty Trust, who owns this 300 Delaware Avenue building, that were gracious when we approached them about doing this type of event. One of the biggest challenges, if not the biggest challenge, of putting on an over-the-edge event, whether it's Delaware or Arizona or England or Canada, is finding not only the building you want to do it on, but a building that is willing to support you in doing that. And so that was one of the big challenges, and Brandywine Realty Trust, the manager of this building, Larry Meister, at the time, who's now, ironically, a member of the Special Olympics Board of Directors and a big supporter of Special Olympics, really was a key in allowing Special Olympics to secure this building. And yes, there are people working in those offices. As you can see, Ruth Lavelle giving a wave to the ground, probably to her son and husband at the bottom, and Kylie is right behind her. First-time rappeller, and so she'll be making the landing here shortly at the bottom. Some other events that are going on throughout the country. Over the Edge has taken place in Atlanta, Georgia. They're here in Wilmington today. These are just for Special Olympics. Over the Edge has events that go on virtually every week, but these are the ones that support Special Olympics chapters around the country. Boston, Massachusetts, New London, Connecticut, Des Moines, Iowa, Raleigh, North Carolina, Bethesda, Maryland, St. Louis, Jefferson City, Missouri, Honolulu, Dallas, Texas, Houston, Texas, New Orleans, and Phoenix. There actually is some staff members from the Special Olympics Maryland chapter who will be here today to see our Delaware event, as they hope to host an Over the Edge event in Baltimore next year. As you can see, Ruth Lavelle making the landing there in front of 300 Delaware Avenue, giving a wave to the crowd. You can see the belayers there at the bottom, assisting, especially for that last ledge there on that second floor, where they pull you away from the side of the building. So if you're sitting there watching this thinking, geez, I don't think I could get myself away from the building, you don't have to. They do it for you here at the bottom. And a safe landing for the Lavelles, Kylie and Ruth. And, of course, Special Olympics thanks them and all the rappellers going down today for their support. Each rappeller has raised at least $1,100 to take part in this event, and several of them have raised more or will continue to raise more after this event. It's one of these events that people, once they realize you did it, are more than willing to donate money to the Special Olympics Delaware. So Marie McIntosh and Anthony Gough are next, and the Lavelles are down. Once again, if you're just tuning in, this is the live stream broadcast of the 2017 Special Olympics Delaware Over the Edge event. I'm John Busby, along with Jimmy Smith. We've had the honor and the pleasure of broadcasting this live stream for the past 4 years. We've talked in the past to the Over the Edge folks. There are a couple places who do this event who do a live stream, but none that do it to the extent that Jimmy Smith and his production crew do. The live streams that we've seen, and again, I can't say I've seen all of them, but the ones that I've looked at, basically there's a still camera at the bottom looking up. You can see Marie McIntosh there getting ready to head down. We'll tell you more about her when she gets going. But this live stream, Jimmy's production crew puts together. It's 3 camera angles that you get to see. and we try to give you the shots that if you're watching somebody, the shots you would really want to see. And so if you're a friend or a relative of Marie McIntosh, you want to see her expression before she goes down. You want to see her expression when she lands and gets to the bottom. And you also want to see her actually doing it. I think there's an incredible experience of watching a friend rappel 17 stories. If you can't be here live, this is an opportunity for you to see it no matter where you live in the world. You can see the view that the rappellers have there. That's a great shot of North Wilmington. I believe that's the tower in Rockford Park off to the right that you see there. We are located about a block and a half from Rodney Square in Wilmington on Delaware Avenue, for those of you familiar with the city. So you are looking basically north and west into the city there, and that is, I believe, the tower at Rockford Park for those that you have been there. So the landing area there is clear, and that is why Marie is getting harnessed up there. And Jimmy, your crew's all settled in, and looks like it's going to be a great day for a broadcast, great camera angles, and the sun's not shining, which is a good thing if you're outside all day, or certainly on the roof, but it is warming up as well.
Yeah, it's a pretty great day. I know there was, looking at the week a couple of weeks ago, it was rain that kind of moved around. It was Monday, Tuesday.
And it's coming Saturday now.
Yeah,
and maybe tomorrow.
Thursday, Friday,
right.
Now it's Saturday.
Yep.
So that's good.
Yes.
That's a good start to the day, and we'll be very lucky with this weather that we're having.
That is Tony Gough, a friend of Marie's, and the two of them do an incredible amount of volunteering for Special Olympics, particularly in the Bethany Beach area where Marie has retired. She is a retired special education teacher and Wilmington University assistant professor. She is actually in the Special Olympics Delaware Hall of Fame, a recent inductee. This is her second year going down, and she is wondering if she will be as nervous as she was the first time. She has said she will pop in and talk to us afterwards, so we will ask her that question. But Marie, from a personal story, Marie is one of the first folks I worked with almost 30 years ago when I started with Special Olympics. She was the aquatics competition director. She ran the swim meets, and I came on board in the middle of swim season and went, and she showed me this is how you run a swim meet. And she was involved in that for several years afterwards as well. And she just has basically her whole professional life has been involved in Special Olympics. You can see her take those first steps now. She has disappeared from the screen, and Anthony Gough is getting ready to. He has taken those first couple steps back, and now he's just getting some final instructions. You can see his left hand there right over the tech's helmet, and that is where he has the lever. And 5, 6, 7 years ago when we first started doing this event, the technique was to squeeze the lever on the way down, and so a lot of times by the time you got down, your hands were pretty sore. And you can see Tony spreading out there eagle wide and showing that he is comfortable and confident going down. And now it is a lever. You can see his left hand. He's starting to move that lever, and if he pulls too fast, he will lock up. He's going at a good speed right now. He'll be able to go a little bit faster if he wants to. But if they do go too fast, they lock up. You can see the photographer getting the shot there of him going down. And so all the photos are available on the Special Olympics website later on. And here you see at the top of the screen there, you can start to see Marie McIntosh coming down. She will be on your right. Again, she is a second-year edger, a Special Olympics Delaware Hall of Famer who is heading down. Tony Gough on the left, Marie McIntosh on the right. You can see them coming into view here. Tony coaches cycling, bowling, and also does some strength training programs for Special Olympics Delaware. This is his first time. He says he's doing it because it's fun and for a good cause. He has done skydiving and downhill bicycle racing in Colorado and surfing. And, Jimmy, this is one of the things I enjoy most about doing this is when we find out what some of these people have done. And the most amazing thing was that last year, didn't somebody bungee jump in a cannon or somewhere underwater? It was some crazy thing. Remember that?
Yeah, it was like the sinkholes in
Mexico
type of deal, one of those deals. So.
Yeah, so it was just we've never heard anybody doing that before or after. The skydiving I always talk about. Now, I have done over the edge. I would never skydive because I don't like that feeling of not being in control. I don't like doing something where people have not survived. And that's one of the key things for those of you listening. For the thousands of events that Over the Edge USA has done, they have never had any problems, and I'll use that term.
Say
problems.
It again.
They've never had any problems.
No problems.
So that is, it's one of the safest events you can possibly do. And you can see Marie very confident coming down, Tony right behind her. And so it really is, you can hear the crowd in the background there. And so it really is a neat event. Skydiving, I would not do. And I've always been upfront about people for that. My sister-in-law worked for a nonprofit who skydiving was one of their fundraisers, and she asked me to do it, and I flat out told her no, that I was not going to do it. This bicycle racing, downhill bicycle racing in Colorado. Now, I do some cycling, not nearly to the extent that what I call real cyclists do, but I do some cycling, and I get nervous on the hills here in Delaware. So I can't imagine cycling downhill on hills in Colorado as a race. So if Tony comes in, we're going to ask him about that because I'm interested in hearing more about that. As you can see, Marie and Tony are landing, so they have successfully made it down. 4 down, 79 people going today, 87 total when it's all said and done. 8 people went yesterday, 7 media folks and a staff member of Special Olympics. Coming up next will be Jennifer Lecomte. I saw her up there. I do not know Lori Ableman, but I assume she was the other person. We did see her up there. Jim Diana, Danny Hall, Matt Marsh, and Leo Stasinski are what we call on deck, probably in the training area. So once again, if you're just tuning in, we understand people are going to be tuning in and out all day. Most people that are tuning in are tuning in just to see it and check it out. Others are tuning in to see a specific person go down, as we did let the rappellers know their time that they would be going and the link to the live stream there. As you see Tony and Marie congratulating each other, a pose there for the two friends as they head out of the landing area, and we're going to try to get Marie and Tony to come in here and talk about Special Olympics. That is Jennifer Lecomte, Dr. Jennifer Lecomte. She is a member of the Special Olympics Delaware Board of Directors. She has never done this before. She works at Christiana Care. She said the only other crazy or daring activity she's done is that polar bear plunge. You'll hear a lot of people talk about that today as another activity they do for Special Olympics, as a lot of these over-the-edgers are recruited when they do the polar bear plunge as another event they can be part of here in Special Olympics.
And in fairness, John, this is a little crazier.
Yeah,
right?
Just a little.
I think when you do this, the plunge isn't crazy.
No, it's a little bit simpler. A little bit simpler to do the plunge. The plunge is a
more
minute of cold
water. It's an entry-level type of though.
Right. And this is something. And it's funny, though, and Jimmy, you've heard people talk about this, the number of people that we talk to after they go down who are petrified of heights. And I've always said this. When I did this event, I think it's now been 2 and maybe even been 3 years ago. I think it was 3 years ago, that I wasn't nervous. I mean, I was a little, anxious, I probably is the word, because who wouldn't be anxious up on a 17-story roof getting ready to rappel over, no matter how many times you've done it. And we've had people that have done it 6-7 years that tell us they still get that high of the excitement that happens when you do it. But when I did it, I wasn't scared. I'll put it that way. I wasn't scared. And so it was obviously an opportunity for me to do something that I've always wanted to do. I wouldn't call it necessarily a bucket list item, but I was able to do it. But I'm amazed at the number of people who go over this, who tell us they're scared of heights. And I have a couple colleagues who are in that situation who have done it, and a couple friends who have done it. So I can't imagine doing this if I was scared of heights.
It's hard to mimic this. I mean, it's not something. I mean, skydiving is hard to mimic, and I mean, jumping in cold water is not necessarily hard to mimic. This is hard to mimic, so you don't know, and you've definitely never done it with any of this kind of stuff.
Right.
So it's difficult. It's hard. You're wearing all this equipment, rightfully so, and so I get where everybody's coming from. I mean, I get anxious at this moment every time, every year.
Yeah, watching it. And we're downstairs.
Yeah.
We're down in stairs, out of the elements.
220 feet below them.
Where they're going. And so that is, I believe, Lori Ableman on the right. I know that is Jennifer Lecomte on the left. We will get confirmation that is Lori Ableman on the right, but she is scheduled to go down with Jennifer Lecomte. And so the Over the Edge folks, especially this early, they usually stick very strictly to the schedule. And since the next 7 people going down are men, I'm going to assume that is Lori Ableman along with Dr. Jennifer Lecomte, who is stepping back for the first time. Dr. Lecomte is a member of the Special Olympics Delaware Board of Directors. Lori Ableman works for Elzufan, Austin, and Mondell, and she's used to being up there on the 17th floor because that's where her company is located. So she makes that trek up the elevator every day of the work week. However, I'm sure that the feeling was a little bit different heading up there today.
It's a different way to leave work today. You don't normally go off the side of the building.
Right.
You go through the elevator.
So she will head down here. And again, if you're just tuning in, these folks, they check in on the 10th floor. There they get an opportunity to look outside and look down. And it's intimidating from 10 floors. And then they realize, okay, we're just a little bit more than halfway of where we're actually going. They get harnessed up. They go through a safety lesson about what they're going to do, what they can expect, what they're going to experience, how it works. And then they are escorted up by elevator to the 17th floor onto the roof, where they are then put through a test rappel, so to speak, where people have told me it's very similar to rock climbing, where they get lifted up to, or they step up to about halfway up, build a one-story structure, and then they just get that feeling of, okay, here I am hanging, and I'm going to rappel down. And so they get to experience it, that feeling, before they actually get to where they are, and they are 17 stories up. I believe Lori just locked up, and that happens when you go too quickly, and it happened to me when I was in the same position Lori is in, that sitting back position, where you get started and all of a sudden the rope jerks just a little bit because you pull a little bit too hard on the lever and it locks up. It's a safety feature, and it's very simple to get out of it. And in fact, the technicians often say, we're glad it happened to you while you're right here because we can show you again and you can experience it without the panic if it happens on the 10th floor. And I say panic only because, anytime, and using the term something goes wrong, because it's not going wrong. They tell you over and over, the technicians say you might lock up if you go too fast, and here's how you get out of it. And so it's a safety feature, and every single person we've seen lock up has been able to get out of it very quickly.
I'm going to turn my mic on. I think broadcasting this event is so hard, not only because it's so long, but the verbiage you use. Drop zone, fall,
problems.
Lean back, problems.
Yeah. And it was funny because we talked to the overedge technicians, and they talked to us yesterday during the training, and they talked about not using those words on the radio because people obviously can hear them in the different areas here. The folks watching and listening to us are not actually on the ropes, and so we do it more in jest than anything else, or by accident, because you do use terms like that naturally when you're talking about an event like this. But again, we'll reiterate that the safety of this event is 100% in the thousands of events that the Over the Edge company has done, and that's a big reason why I was confident when I did it. It's a big reason a lot of people who do it come back, because they rave over and over about how comfortable the technicians make them feel. We have the owners of the Delaware Rock Gym, one of the sponsors. They are here working this event. They've done it every year that we've been here. And so they have the opportunity to work with our folks, and obviously they know what they're doing, and they're volunteers that are here today. And this event does not go on without the support of all the volunteers that are here today. And we can't reiterate that enough, how much we appreciate them and what they do for Special Olympics as they are coming down. For Lori Ableman, this is her third time, and my guess is she learned about the event when she was in the 17th floor there, probably looked outside her office and saw somebody coming over the edge and then decided she wanted to do it. We have several folks who are here who work in this building who just happened to find out about the event, A, because the posters have been outside on the window facing Delaware Avenue for the better of a month, but also the day today, as you can imagine, is with the atmosphere out front, is a little bit different than it is on a typical Thursday morning, and will eventually be a Thursday afternoon. As you see on the right there, that's Dr. Jennifer Lecomte coming down, and Lori Ableman will come into view on the left there. Now, Lori has done skydiving and bungee jumping. Skydiving, I think, is a completely different experience. I've never done skydiving, but I say completely different because I can't imagine ever doing it. Jumping out of an airplane without a rope, without a 100% safety guarantee like you have here at Over the Edge, and without the experienced technicians at the bottom of what is a fall when you skydive, that they have here in the landing zone of the 300 Delaware Avenue building. Now, bungee jumping, I'm not sure. Jimmy, have you ever bungee jumped?
No.
No. and by the grimace on your face when you nodded no, I assume you have no interest in bungee jumping.
I'm trying to think of the craziest thing I've done, and I don't think I've done anything crazy. I mean, like,
well, you're a Cleveland Browns fan.
Time.
You're a Cleveland Browns fan.
Right. That's crazy. You put yourself through enough with that. So, yeah, I'll say that.
Yeah, there you go.
That was what it was.
And that's safe. It might be crazy, but it's safe. Jennifer Lecomte there coming down. She's just got a few stories left to go, and she'll get to that second story ledge where the people at the bottom pull you away from the building there and allow you to. That's where I think you really feel comfortable. That you kind of spin naturally as they pull you away from that second story, and it gives you an opportunity to turn around and wave to the crowd. Just about every person who comes down has a supporter of some sort at the bottom, or they're watching the live stream. And again, if you're watching the live stream and you do Twitter, please use #OverTheEdgeDE if you want to give a shout out to somebody coming down. We will make sure that we will do our best to mention it while they are coming down, so that when they watch the rebroadcast of their own rappel, because this will be available on YouTube for them to see. And it's amazing when we get the feedback from people after they watch it about how, what a different perspective they have watching themselves up there on that 17th story and start to come down. Mike Winley has tweeted out good luck to all those going over the edge for SO Delaware today. Thanks, Mike, for reaching out. And Matt Montgomery, a Special Olympics athlete, is encouraging followers to come out and see the Over the Edge event today. Almost a party atmosphere out front. You can see the TD Bank tents there. That is the TD Bank in the background. And they're serving refreshments out there. They'll be out there all day, so make sure you stop by and say hello to the folks there from TD Bank, one of the sponsors of today's event, and also hosted the cocktail reception yesterday. So Jennifer Lecomte making the final descent there into the area. Once again, if you're just tuning in, this is the 7th annual Over the Edge event sponsored by TD Bank, Brandywine Realty Trust, and Newcastle County Fire Services. We're at the 300 Delaware Avenue building in Wilmington. More than 87 people by the end of today will have gone over the edge for Special Olympics Delaware. Each raised at least $1,100. This event has raised more than $760,000 in the what is now 7-year history of this event. And coming into the broadcast room here is Marie McIntosh. And Marie, you can have a seat right there with a microphone. And we're watching Lori Ableman make her final descent. A few floors to go. And Marie, 2 years down, many to go. You did it. And we're welcome. And so what was the difference between year 1 and year 2?
I was less nervous this year.
Less nervous, but still nervous.
But still nervous.
Yeah, and we talked about that if you're not scared of heights, you're still a little bit nervous. Yeah. But if you are scared of heights, you're a lot of nervous. Yeah. Are you scared of heights generally?
I am.
You are. So, again, I said this already on the broadcast, and I'm sure I'll say it again as people continue to tune in during the day. I'm not sure I would have done it if I was scared of heights. I was nervous not being scared of heights, so I always give people credit who are scared of heights.
But here was my motivation. I wanted to be down first before Tony.
And you did. You made it.
I saw him. I looked over at one point, and he was like, a little below me. I thought,
right.
No, this can't happen.
And so always the competitor. And we talked about it. I told the story about how you were one of the first people I met in Special Olympics, what's now been 28 years ago. You were involved before that, a member of our Special Olympics Delaware Hall of Fame. You have done just about everything there is to do in Special Olympics. You've run events, you've coached, you've served hot dogs at camp, you've done everything there is to do. And why do you stay involved? You know, you were involved when you were a teacher, when it was a little bit more of a natural reason as a special education teacher to be involved. You've been retired from teaching for more than a decade. I don't know the exact number of years. What has kept you involved in your retirement? You basically took your volunteer service from Newcastle County and took it to the beach.
I just think that it's incredibly important for me to keep in touch with these athletes, and I just love them. And I love doing stuff with them, and they have such great personalities and many different personalities. It's just my passion.
Do you have any particular story that when people ask you, like a story of somebody who you never thought could do something and they do it? I'm putting you on the spot, so if you don't.
But it's okay. We just got one.
All right,
okay?
perfect. That's
all
a good time.
So this, you don't want names.
It's up to you. No, you can give names.
But okay.
Yep.
So we have this pretty new athlete this year, Chrissy Arancio, and we asked her mom if she could ride a bike. And her mom was a little bit nervous about that, and her mom said, "No, I don't think so." And I said, "Well, you know, we have a trike."
Right.
And I said, "How about she comes to practice, you know, we put her on a trike before we get one for her and see how she likes it." Well, let me tell you, Chrissy got on a trike, surprised her mother, and rode around that track. And so yesterday they picked up the trike, and she sent me a picture of her riding in her street.
Wow.
It's that kind of stuff,
yeah,
you know?
And you said two things that are key. One, she probably would have never tried a bike if it wasn't for Special Olympics.
That's right.
Two, she's riding the bike outside of practice.
Right.
Which is one thing that we want. We always talk about, you know, we want you to learn how to play, we want you to learn how to bowl so that when your church goes bowling, you know how to bowl.
That's exactly right.
In the cycling thing, that keeps you in shape, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And that's one of the outcomes of Special Olympics.
Yeah, I have a next door neighbor who is new in the neighborhood, and I by talking with her, I said, "You been to Special Olympics before?" And she said, "Yeah, in Colorado." I said, "Would you like to do it with us here?" So sure enough, got her, and so got her a trike.
Right.
Okay, and she rides around the neighborhood all the time.
Oh wow.
Which is exactly what you're saying.
Yep.
She just loves it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think cycling is one of the best things we can do for Special Olympics Delaware because it's a lifetime sport.
Right.
Just about anybody can do it, as your story just proved, and it's
Right.
just a matter of getting people that opportunity.
Right.
So,
Right.
all right, I'll put you on this. How was Tony's experience? You've probably talked to him.
I
don't know if he's
yet.
coming
I
in or
haven't
not,
had a
but
chance.
he doesn't
I
have
haven't
to.
had a chance.
But it'll be interesting to see. Second time Edger, think you'll come back?
You bet.
All right, good. Well, Marie, thanks for stopping by.
Thank
you
you
for supporting Special Olympics not only today but all year round,
Thanks
and really
very much.
for your lifetime.
Thanks,
all right, enjoy the rest of the day. All right, up next on the ropes, I believe it is Jim Diana and Danny Hall, who will be coming down there. Danny Hall is one of the folks that is coming for the seventh time, and I do want to mention Tony Gough and Marie McIntosh, who just landed, both reached the $1,500 incentive. And so they actually get, I believe it's a special plaque with their picture on it, an inscribed plaque for their experience, and that was for the $1,500 that they each raised. And so Lori Ableman has landed, Jennifer Lecomte has landed. Up next is Jim Diana and Danny Hall up there on the roof. And so there at the top there, that is, I believe it is Jim Diana. I'll try to get some confirmation on that. And Tony Gough has joined us here in the broadcast room as we watch Jim Diana and Danny Hall come on down. Danny Hall is a seventh-time person. He has done it every single year. There was one year where he paid to go to the event, but we actually had an intern for Special Olympics Delaware who wanted to go over the edge, and so Danny gave up his spot so she could have that experience, and that was kind of a neat thing that we saw. But Danny is back in the saddle, and Danny's one of those ones that is scared to death of heights, and he always says, feel free to tell whoever you want, because anybody who knows me knows that.
Is that Danny going down now here?
I believe that is Danny on the right, yes.
Okay, Danny on the right,
yeah.
perfect.
And there's Jim Diana on the left there, and Jim Diana is going down for the first time, and he is the state of Delaware. He works for the Division of Alcohol and Tobacco Enforcement, statewide operations supervisor, and he's a retired Master Sergeant from the Wilmington Police Department, where he served for 23 and a half years. We do want to mention, certainly, our thoughts out to Danny Hall is a member of the State Police. Danny Hall, the other one going down there, you see on your right, and, of course, their recent loss of one of a fallen officer, Stephen Ballard. And so, as everyone has reached out here in the state of Delaware and throughout the country, we certainly want to send our sympathies to the family and, of course, the fellow officers of Stephen Ballard for that tragic loss. Joining me is Tony Gough, his first time repeller. Tony, what was the experience like?
It was fine for Tony Gough.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize for that. Somebody told me it was Tony Gough. So, and I know you well enough, but I only know you as Tony.
Right.
So,
it was fun. It's kind of interesting. It was an interesting experience, and it's thoroughly enjoyable.
Okay. Would you do it again?
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
But I think next year I might work the ropes.
Oh, as a volunteer.
Yeah.
Now, you had done something.
I
skydiving?
used to be a skydiver.
Where does this rank with skydiving? I always say I would never skydive. I've done this, but I've never done the skydiving.
Well, it's kind of different because you're attached to the building, and when you're jumping out of an airplane, it doesn't really seem that high until you get down.
Was the tension before you left, and I don't mean the physical tension of the rope, but your tension inside, your nervousness, was it different before you jumped out of the plane than it was when you sat back on the top of that roof?
Oh, much more.
Which was worse?
Plane.
That's what I would think.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing I want to ask you about is the downhill bike racing in Colorado.
Yes.
Explain that, because I don't like the hills in Delaware, which there aren't many. I can't imagine biking in Colorado.
My grandsons and my son-in-law, they do participate in downhill biking in Colorado. It's full suspension bikes, front and rear. If you've ever watched it, it's extreme sports. It's single track, and you would jump off of 40 and 50-foot cliffs and land a bike, and sometimes you break things. And